Alright, I'm gonna go over my Payday 2 stealth build. This build is for missions where you only want to do stealth and you're gonna restart if you fail. It's only for enthusiasts basically, but it covers everything and it's a pretty well-rounded stealth build, so you should be able to go into any stealth mission solo or in a group and have success with this build. So let's get straight into the skills. Um, by the way, this works for any infamy. You don't have to have any infamy points. And yeah, so keep that in mind. You might be able to make it a little bit more efficient. But let's get into it. Forced friendship. Basically, we only need extra cable ties, time faster, get people down more easily, and you have further range with your shout and confident. Um, they'll remain intimidated longer if you can't hostage tie them. And then we get stability, snap to zoom, and this is actually really important, the high value target. Not the basic, but acing it out um, gives us increased duration of marked enemies by 100%, so it doubles the length of marked enemies, and this works in tandem with your trip mines, which we'll go over later. Um, so it's pretty important to know where people are, especially if you're using trip mines. That it really makes them a lot more efficient and helps you out. And you can mark them just by aiming at your weapon, so you don't have to worry about hitting F and maybe hitting the wrong guy or anything like that. So that's why I take this. I think it's actually pretty important. Um, moving on, we just want to throw bags further. Um, Again, like I would take this in any other build, but we're not trying to break stealth, so you don't need to take less damage if you're not breaking stealth. This gives you the saw, and an extra saw blade and more efficiency. That's the only reason why I took the first point, was so I can get into portable saw. This is really important as well. Not these two, but jack of all trades. So now you can bring two different equipables with you, and I'll get into this a little bit more later. But you're usually going to be bringing either all trip mines and one ECM, or two ECMs and seven trip mines, or sometimes a body bag. It really depends on the mission and what your team needs, but this really opens up avenues, especially if you're going to want to do solo stealth. Um, and here, just getting it up here for extra mines, but the drill time reduction is really nice as well. Now, I was thinking, I did have some extra points, and I was thinking about putting them into Kickstarter or maybe acing this out, but if you're not breaking stealth, you usually are just keeping an eye on your drill anyways, and you don't. The automatic restart isn't really necessary, and I felt like those points were useful in other places. Weapon accuracy here, just an extra point, and it's pretty useful having that accuracy. Uh, all of these are aced out because they're all really useful. Lockpick saves, lockpick faster, you can open doors with your ECMs. This Sixth Sense, not only is it good for the insider assets, but it's actually really useful to use the first point of this to your advantage. I don't see a lot of people actually sit still um, behind a wall and wait to see if anyone's on the other side. A lot of people just run through doors, and the first point is worth taking just by itself, not just for the ace. So when you are solo stealthing and you don't have any other backups, where if you trigger one guard and then maybe he'll trigger three or four others, you really have to be careful, and this helps you do that safely. Inner pockets reduce your concealment, always nice. Run faster, very nice. Um, this I just aced this out. More accuracy. You snap to zoom even faster. And I only took this so I can get that 1 point. And finally, um, I had some extra points, so I just dumped them into weapon accuracy. You can switch your pistols faster. Now this is useful because if you place a trip mine and then draw your pistol right afterwards, you're going to draw it faster. It's not useful for switching to your primary or your secondary, but it is useful for after you've placed or interacted with something and maybe you need to react. That's why I think it's actually a pretty important um, skill to take the first of, and then I had extra points, so more weapon accuracy, and this was literally a throwaway point. I mean, I'm not going to put it in bleed out or my medic, so who knows if you're ever going to get melee, but there you go. Um, and like I said, usually going to be running trip mines and ECMs. Um, Body bags are just as fine. It really depends. I can go over my my thinking. So on maps like Shadow Raid, you're gonna want all 14. If you're by yourself, especially, you're gonna want all 14 trip mines, so that well, all those froze in place. Okay, that was really distracting. In Shadow Raid, you really need to know where everyone is. Guards can go. There's so many smaller rooms. There's so many different path points that they can head towards. So knowing exactly where they are at all times is your number one priority if you don't want to get detected in a map like Shadow Raid or the Murky Station. I was doing the reason why I had ECMs and body bags was because I was doing First World Bank, where you don't really. I need body bags in the second half. Um, or you're pretty fucked if you don't have them or you don't have enough, and you'd have to go all the way back out to the beginning of the vault just to get to the body where the body bag asset spawns. So I was using ECM body bags because the trip mines, it's a really big open map. You can figure out where the guards are without trip mines really easily, less so than you can on maybe the which one is it? I'm blanking. The framing frame. Framing frame. I would take all trip mines, ECM. Um, on a map like Election Day, I would take 2 ECMs and 7 trip mines on day one because you know you have 1 ECM that you can use on a door, and then you still have a backup. You get a key card, so you have basically 2 free doors. You don't need all 14 trip mines. Hell, you could even bring body bags if you felt like you needed it. I think that's kind of a waste. I'd rather have the trip mines. Um, and then you still have an ECM for if you get caught and there's an emergency and you need to bail out. Usually, on the end of day one, I just throw an ECM down and then run out. And that's just a little bit of thinking into how you really want to use all those perks to your advantage. And I really think that with this stealth build, there's absolutely nothing that I want that I don't have. You've got people staying marked longer. You've got a ton of extra saws. You've got all of the tools that you need and everything you need to be stealthy, and you don't need anything fancy or any extra damage, because even if you're doing one down, if a guard is not alerted, they'll go down in one hit anyways. So this is my build. It's for the enthusiasts out there who don't want to break stealth at any point in the mission, and it serves its purpose really well. Especially, I wanted to make a stealth build that anyone could use, regardless of whether or not you have a lot of infamy. And I really think that this accomplishes that, and I'm really happy with it. So why don't you try it out? Like, let me know what you think, if it works for you. If it doesn't, what you think could have made it better. Um, and yeah, thank you for watching. I might throw in a couple of videos after this on my channel that are me stealthing through missions with this build. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you for watching my build, and I'll see you guys later.